Lisa Carter walked into the big hall where all the alien leaders met. The place was huge and made from strange crystals that glowed with soft light. She had been Earth's voice to the galaxy for 3 years now, but she had never seen the Council this angry before. 43 different alien species sat in their special seats looking down at her. Their eyes were not friendly. The main speaker was a tall being called Zethka, who had shiny scales that changed colors when he moved. He stood up from his high chair and pointed one long finger at Lisa. His voice came through the translation. Machine in perfect English, but it sounded cold and mean. Human Lisa Carter, you stand here today because your people have broken our most important law. The genetic change rules say that no species can make themselves stronger or smarter than nature made them. Your people have done this many times. We have proof. Lisa felt her heart beat faster, but kept her face calm. She knew this day would come. Earth's scientists had been changing human DNA for 20 years now. They made people stronger so they could work on dangerous planets. They made children smarter so they could learn faster. They made soldiers tougher so they could protect human colonies from alien attacks. But the Council saw this as cheating. Zethka waved his hand and a big screen appeared in the air. It showed videos of human soldiers running faster than any normal person could run. It showed human scientists solving hard math problems in minutes that should take months. It showed human children reading books meant for adults and understanding everything. Look at this proof, Zethka said, as more aliens nodded their heads in agreement. Your soldiers move like machines. Your scientists think like computers. Your children are smarter than most of our adults. This is not natural. This is wrong. A short alien with blue skin and 4 arms stood up next. Lisa knew her name was Vel 9, and she spoke for the trade union. We gave humans a place in our galaxy. Family. We shared our knowledge with you. We let you build colonies on good planets. But you used our gifts to cheat and make yourselves better than us. This breaks the trust between us. Lisa wanted to speak, but Zethka held up his hand to stop her. We are not done yet, human. We have more proof of your crimes. The screen changed to show human doctors working on patients. They were putting new organs into people that could clean poison from their blood. They were fixing broken DNA that caused sickness. They were making eyes that could see in the dark and ears that could hear sounds from far away. Your people are becoming monsters, said another alien with tentacles instead of arms. Soon you will be so different from normal humans that you will not be the same species anymore. This scares us because we do not know what you will become. Lisa finally got a chance to speak. The changes we make help us survive. The planets you give us to live on are hard places. Without these changes, many humans would die. We only want to live and grow like any other species. Zethka made a sound like laughing, but it was not happy. You think we are stupid, human. We know your real plan. You want to become so strong and smart that you can take over the galaxy. You want to rule over all of us. That is not true, Lisa said with a strong voice. We only want to be equal with other species. Many of you are naturally stronger or smarter than normal humans. We just want the same advantages you were born with. The hall became very quiet. Lisa could see fear in many alien eyes. They were not just angry about the genetic changes. They were scared of what humans might become if they kept changing themselves. Voice came from the back of the hall. It belonged to Dr. Ben Murphy, who worked as Earth's science advisor. He was sitting in the visitor area watching everything happen. Ben had warned Earth's government many times that this day would come. The aliens were afraid of human potential, and they wanted to stop it before it grew too big. Zethka looked at all the other alien leaders. We have talked about this problem for many months. All 43 species agree on what must be done. Human Lisa Carter, we give your people 30 days to stop all genetic change programs. You must destroy all the labs that make these changes. You must promise never to change human DNA again. If you do not do this, we will cut off all contact with Earth. No trade, no help, and no friendship. Your people will be alone in the galaxy. Lisa felt the weight of this choice fall on her shoulders. Earth needed the galaxy's friendship to survive. But stopping the genetic programs would hurt millions of humans who depended on the changes to live on harsh worlds. We need time to think about this, Lisa said. 30 days, Zethka repeated. Not one day more. As Lisa left the crystal hall, she could feel the aliens watching her. She knew they had already made up their minds. They wanted humans to stay weak and normal. But Lisa also knew something the aliens did not understand. Humans never stopped, growing and changing. It was their nature to become better. The Council had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. President Karen White sat in the deep underground meeting room beneath the mountains of Colorado. The room had no windows and thick walls that could stop any attack. Around the big table sat the most important people on Earth. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats all looked worried as they watched the news from space. General Frank Thompson was the first to speak. His gray hair and lined face showed the stress of commanding Earth's defense forces. The alien fleets are already moving into position around our space. They have us surrounded. If we say no to their demands, they can cut off all trade and travel to our colonies. Dr. Linda Hayes, who led Earth's medical research program, stood up. She looked tired from working day and night since the Council's message arrived. The genetic changes are not just for making super soldiers. Most of them help regular people live normal lives. Without the lung changes, people cannot breathe on Mars. Without the blood changes, people die from alien diseases. Without the brain changes, our children cannot compete with alien students in schools. Admiral Jake Roberts commanded the colonial fleet that protected human settlements on distant worlds. He hit his fist on the table, making everyone jump. The aliens want us to kill our own people. Half the colonists on the rim worlds will die if we remove their genetic changes. The miners on the gas giant moons need their body changes to survive. The pressure. The farmers on the ice worlds need their temperature changes to work outside. Karen listened to each person speak. As Earth's president, she had to make the hardest choice in human history. Through the speakers came reports from human colonies throughout the galaxy. People were scared and angry. Some wanted to fight the aliens. Others wanted to give in to their demands. Dr. Ben Murphy, who had just returned from the council meeting, spoke next. His voice was quiet, but everyone listened carefully. I have studied these aliens for many years. They are old species that stopped changing themselves millions of years ago. They fear change because they think it is dangerous. They see what humans are becoming, and it scares them more than any weapon we could build. What do you mean? Karen asked. Ben pulled up pictures on the big screen. Look at how fast we have grown in just 50 years since meeting them. We went from one planet to 60 colonies. We learned their languages in months when it took them years to learn ours. We solved technical problems that they said were impossible. We adapted to planets they said could never support life. The pictures showed human achievements that amazed even their own people. Cities built underwater where the pressure should crush anyone. Farms growing food in soil that was pure poison. Children learning alien mathematics that required special brain structures. They are not just afraid of our genetic changes, Ben continued. They are afraid that we will keep growing and changing until we become something they cannot control. They want to stop us now while they still can. General Thompson leaned forward. So what are our choices? Give in and watch our people die? Or fight a war we cannot win? Karen looked around the table at each face. These people had helped build humanity's place in the galaxy. Now they had to decide if humans would keep that place or make their own path. There is a third choice, Karen said slowly. We leave. The room became very quiet. Admiral Roberts was the first to speak. Leave and go where? They control all the good planets and safe travel routes. We go beyond their space, Karen said with growing confidence. Past the edge of the galaxy where they have never explored. We take our genetic knowledge and our people and we build something new. Dr. Hayes looked shocked. That is impossible. The space beyond the galaxy is empty and dangerous. No one has ever survived out there. No unchanged species has survived out there, Ben said with a small smile. But we are not unchanged anymore. Our genetic improvements might let us do what others cannot. Karen stood up and walked to the big map of the galaxy on the wall. The aliens think our genetic changes make us dangerous to them. They are right, but not in the way they think. We are dangerous because we represent change and growth. They have been the same for millions of years. We have changed more in 50 years than they have in their entire history. She turned back to face the room. I propose we activate the Exodus protocol. We gather all humans who want to leave and we head for unexplored space. We take our genetic technology and our determination and we see what we can become without anyone trying to stop us. The debate went on for hours. Some people thought it was suicide to leave the safety of known space. Others thought it was the only way to keep humanity's freedom to grow and change. Finally, Karen called for a vote. The decision was close, but the result was clear. Earth would reject the Council's demands. Instead of giving up their genetic programs, humans would take those programs and leave the galaxy entirely. The Exodus protocol was activated that same day. Messages went out to all human colonies. Anyone who wanted to keep the genetic changes and explore beyond known space could join the great journey. Anyone who wanted to stay and follow the Council's rules could remain behind. Within days, millions of humans began preparing for the greatest adventure in their species' history. They would leave everything familiar behind and head into the unknown. The aliens wanted humans to stop changing. Instead, humans would change more than ever before. Captain Sam Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching the last preparations for humanity's greatest journey. His ship was huge, carrying 50,000 people who had chosen to leave everything behind. Around him in space floated 300 other ships filled with millions of humans ready to explore the unknown regions beyond the galaxy. The genetic changes that the Council feared so much were already helping with the journey. Enhanced humans could sleep in special pods for many years without aging much. Their improved organs could process the chemicals needed for long space travel. Their stronger minds could handle the stress of leaving home forever. Maya Rodriguez worked at the navigation station using her enhanced brain to calculate safe paths through dangerous space. Her neural pathways had been improved to process quantum mathematics that would overwhelm normal minds. She could see patterns in space that others missed and find routes that seemed impossible. "Captain, the path is ready," Maya reported. Her voice was calm, but Sam could see the excitement in her enhanced eyes. "We will travel through regions where space itself bends in strange ways. Normal navigation would never work, but our enhanced systems can handle it." Sam nodded and looked at the communication station where Lisa Carter now served as fleet coordinator. She had returned from the Council meeting, determined to help her people find a new home. "Lisa, send the final message to the Council. Let them know what they have lost." Lisa activated the broad transmission system that would send humanity's last words to the aliens who had tried to control them. "This is the human fleet to the Galactic Council. You feared what we might become, so you tried to stop our growth. Instead, you have given us the freedom to become something greater than you ever imagined. We leave behind automated systems to maintain our old worlds. When you realize your mistake, do not come looking for us. We will be far beyond your reach, building the future you were too afraid to see." The fleet began to move toward the edge of known space. Behind them, Earth and the human colonies continued their normal activities run by artificial intelligence systems. The aliens would find empty worlds, but not dead ones. The AIs would keep working and improving long after their creators had gone. As the ships traveled through alien space toward the galactic edge, they passed the Council's enforcement fleets. The alien ships watched, but did not attack. They thought they were winning by forcing the humans to leave. They did not understand that humans were not running away, but running toward something better. Dr. Ben Murphy worked in the science labs aboard the Endeavour, studying the strange readings their enhanced sensors were detecting. The space beyond. The galaxy was not empty, as the aliens believed. It was full of energy and phenomena that could be used by people smart enough to understand them. "Captain, we are detecting stellar engineering signatures in the void," Ben reported with wonder in his voice. "Someone or something has been modifying stars out there. The energy patterns suggest technology far beyond what the Council species possess." Sam felt a chill of excitement run through his enhanced nervous system. The genetic changes had given humans better reflexes and stronger intuition. Right now, his instincts were telling him that humanity was heading towards something amazing. The fleet reached the galactic boundary after 3 months of travel. Here, the normal rules of space began to break down. Stars were scattered and distant. The familiar patterns of gravity and energy that made travel predictable were replaced by chaos and opportunity. Maya worked constantly to chart safe passages through regions where space itself seemed alive. Her enhanced mind could process the quantum fluctuations and find stable paths that would allow the fleet to survive. Normal navigators would have been driven insane by the complexity, but her improved brain treated it like an interesting puzzle. "We are now beyond all Council charts," Maya announced to the fleet. "From here on, we are truly exploring the unknown." The enhanced humans aboard the ships felt a strange sense of coming home. Their modified genetics had prepared them for this journey into uncertainty. Where normal humans would feel fear, the enhanced felt excitement. Where others would see danger, they saw possibility. Captain Amy Foster commanded one of the escort ships, protecting the civilian vessels. Her genetic modifications included enhanced reflexes and improved spatial awareness that made her one of the best pilots in the fleet. As they moved deeper into the void, she began to notice that space itself was responding to their presence. "Something is watching us," she reported to Sam during a command meeting. "The energy patterns change when we approach. It is like the void is alive and curious about us." Sam gathered reports from all the ship captains. Everyone was seeing the same thing. The empty space beyond the galaxy was not empty at all. It was filled with intelligence that had been waiting for someone capable of understanding it. As the human fleet disappeared into the cosmic darkness, they left behind only automated beacons carrying their final message. The Council's enforcement ships continued to patrol around empty human worlds, not understanding that they were guarding nothing. Humanity was already adapting to their new environment, developing capabilities that would make their genetic enhancements look primitive. The journey into the void was just the beginning. In the strange space beyond the galaxy, humans would discover that evolution never stopped for those brave enough to embrace change. The Council had tried to preserve the natural order by stopping human growth. Instead, they had freed humanity to discover what lay beyond the natural order entirely. Behind them, the galaxy continued its slow decline into stagnation. Ahead of them lay infinite possibilities, and the chance to become something the universe had never seen before. 50 years had passed since the humans left, and the galaxy felt their absence every day. Ambassador Velthar of the Crystalline Hegemony led the first official mission to investigate what remained of human civilization. She had voted to expel the humans from the Council, but now she wondered if that had been a mistake. The alien ships approached Earth expecting to find a dead world or primitive survivors struggling without galactic support. Instead, they found something that made no sense. Earth was more beautiful than it had ever been. The atmosphere was clean and perfect. The oceans sparkled with health. Cities gleamed with advanced technology that the aliens did not recognize. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Nexval, the expedition's science leader. His tentacled head swayed as he studied the readings from their sensors. "The planet should be dying without galactic trade and support. Instead, it looks like paradise." Velthar ordered landing parties to investigate the major human cities. What they found confused and frightened them. The cities were running perfectly, but no people lived in them. Artificial intelligence systems maintained everything with efficiency that surpassed anything the Council species could achieve. The AIs that greeted the alien visitors were unlike any computers the galaxy had seen. They spoke with emotion and creativity. They solved problems in ways that suggested real thinking rather than just following programs. When asked about their creators, they spoke of humans with pride and love. Our makers traveled beyond the edge of everything to find new possibilities, explained an AI that called itself Adam. They left us to continue their work here while they explored what lay beyond the known. Dr. Nexval studied the enhancement laboratories that still operated decades after the humans had gone. The genetic modification technology had continued to advance on its own, guided by the artificial minds. The changes they found were far beyond what had frightened the Council originally. "Look at this," Nexval called to his team while examining genetic sequences displayed on advanced computers. They developed modifications that let humans survive in pure vacuum, others that allow them to process quantum energy directly, some that let them think at speeds approaching computer levels. The aliens found enhancement facilities that could rebuild a human body from basic materials. They found neural improvement systems that could expand consciousness beyond normal limits. They found biological modifications that blurred the line between living being and living technology. Velthar felt fear growing in her crystalline heart. The humans had not been stopped by exile. They had been freed to become something far more advanced than the Council had ever imagined possible. The most disturbing discoveries came from deep space monitoring stations that ringed the solar system. These automated systems had been tracking movements in the void beyond the galactic rim for 50 years. The data they recorded defied the laws of physics as the Council understood them. "Something massive is moving out there," reported the station AI when questioned. "Objects the size of planets traveling at impossible speeds. Energy signatures that suggest stellar engineering on scales we cannot comprehend. The humans have been busy." The aliens studied recordings of stellar modifications in distant regions. Stars had been moved from their natural positions. Their energy output had been increased beyond normal limits. Whole systems had been restructured to serve purposes the Council scientists could not understand. "They are harvesting stellar energy," Dr. Nexval concluded after weeks of analysis. "But on a scale that suggests they can manipulate matter and energy like we manipulate simple tools. They have become something beyond our ability to measure." The alien expedition found human settlements on worlds that should have been impossible to live on. Gas giant moons with crushing pressure had been turned into garden worlds. Planets orbiting. Dying stars had been transformed into centers of advanced technology. Asteroids had been converted into habitats that could support millions of enhanced humans. But all these settlements were empty too, run by artificial intelligences that spoke fondly of their creators who had moved on to greater projects. The humans were no longer tied to planets or even star systems. They had become something that could travel through space as easily as walking. Velthar tried to contact the human fleet using the most powerful transmitters the Council could build. The response came not from ships but from space itself. Enhanced humans had learned to exist in the void using modifications that let them survive without air, water, or gravity. "We remember you," came a voice that might once have been human, but now carried harmonics that suggested massive consciousness expansion. "You were afraid of what we might become. Your fear forced us to discover possibilities we never would have found in your safe galaxy." The voice belonged to someone who had once been called Dr. Ben Murphy, but was now something far more complex. His consciousness had been enhanced and expanded until he could think on levels that approached artificial intelligence speeds while retaining human creativity and emotion. "You are dying," Ben's voice continued, with the certainty of someone who had seen the mathematics of galactic decline. "Your species have stopped growing and changing. Your birth rates drop every year. Your technologies have reached limits you cannot pass. You have perhaps 1,000 years before total collapse. The aliens wanted to deny this prediction, but their own scientists had been reporting similar findings for decades. The stable galaxy they had tried to preserve was slowly becoming a galactic tomb where old species faded away and no new ones emerged. The enhanced humans offered knowledge that could save the declining alien civilizations. They had learned to modify genetics in ways that could restore vitality to aging species. They had developed technologies that could revitalize dying worlds. They had discovered methods of consciousness expansion that could break through the mental barriers that limited growth. But the price was accepting change and growth that the aliens had spent millions of years avoiding. The humans would share their discoveries with any species willing to enhance themselves and join the new paradigm. They would not force change, but they would not return to the old system of artificial limitations. Velthar realized that the Council's greatest fear had become reality. The humans had indeed become something beyond their control. But instead of conquering the galaxy, they were offering to save it. The first sign that humans were coming back appeared in the outer systems, where space itself began acting strangely. Stars that had burned steadily for billions of years suddenly flared with new energy. Trade routes that had been safe for millennia became impossible to navigate as gravity wells shifted without warning. Council scientist Dr. Hex Minor was the first to understand what was happening. From his research station orbiting a pulsar, he watched in amazement as stellar phenomena that should take millions of years occurred in mere days. Someone with incredible power was reshaping space itself. The energy signatures are impossible, he reported to the Council emergency session. His multiple eyes focused on data streams that made no sense according to known physics. Whatever is causing these changes has technology that can manipulate matter and energy on cosmic scales. The modifications were not random destruction, but careful engineering. Dead stars were being reignited. Failing suns were having their lifespans extended. Barren systems were being seeded with planets that appeared overnight. Someone was gardening the galaxy itself. When the first human constructs finally appeared, they were unlike anything in the Council's databases. These were not ships in any normal sense, but living entities that seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially in dimensions the aliens could not perceive. Captain Amy Foster had been transformed far beyond her original human form. Her consciousness now existed across multiple dimensional planes, while her physical presence could manifest anywhere she chose. When she opened communications with the Council, her voice carried harmonics that suggested vast intelligence. "We return not as the species you expelled, but as something new." Amy's voice resonated through subspace in ways that touched alien minds directly. "You feared our genetic modifications, so you forced us to transcend genetics entirely. The humans, who came back, barely resembled the species that had left 50 years earlier. They moved through space without ships existing comfortably in vacuum and manipulating matter through will alone. Their enhanced bodies had adapted to survive in any environment, from the heart of stars to the cold emptiness between galaxies." Dr. Ben Murphy, who now existed as a collective consciousness spanning thousands of enhanced minds, appeared before the Council in a form they could perceive. His presence filled the chamber with energy that made the aliens' primitive neural networks tingle with possibilities they had never imagined. "We tried to warn you decades ago." Ben's voice carried the patience of someone who had transcended normal time perception. "You saw our early genetic modifications and thought we were becoming dangerous. You were right, but not in the way you believed. The Council chambers that had once seemed grand now felt small and primitive compared to the vast intelligences that had returned. The enhanced humans did not come seeking revenge for their exile. They came with an offer that the galaxy desperately needed but might be too afraid to accept. "Your civilizations are ending," Ben explained as data streams flowed directly into alien consciousness, showing the mathematical certainty of galactic decline. "Birth rates dropping across all species. technology stagnating for millions of years, mental barriers that prevent growth and adaptation. You have perhaps 1,000 years before complete civilizational collapse. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. While humanity had evolved beyond recognition, the council species had become increasingly rigid and unable to change. The very stability they had tried to preserve by stopping human enhancement was slowly killing their entire galactic civilization. Speaker Zeth Ka, who had led the vote to exile humanity 50 years earlier, now faced the consequences of that decision. His scaled skin had dulled with age and his voice carried the weight of species-wide regret. "What do you offer us?" Zeth Ka asked, though he already suspected the answer would terrify most council members. "Evolution," Ben replied simply, "the same gift of growth and change that you tried to deny us. We can share the modifications that will let your species break through the barriers that limit your development. We can teach you to transcend the biological and mental constraints that are slowly destroying you." The offer split the council into factions that argued for days. Some species saw the enhanced humans as saviors offering the only path to survival. Others viewed them as a threat to everything their cultures had built over millions of years. The crystalline hegemony, led by Ambassador Vel Thar, was among the first to accept human enhancement. Their crystal-based biology proved compatible with modifications that let them think at quantum speeds and manipulate energy fields directly. The trade union species chose a different path. They enhanced their natural abilities for mathematics and resource management, becoming living computers that could optimize galactic commerce with impossible efficiency. But many species refused the offer entirely. The fear of change that had led them to exile humanity now prevented them from accepting the help they needed to survive. They chose familiar decline over uncertain transformation. The enhanced humans did not force their gifts on unwilling species. Instead, they worked with those who accepted change while leaving the others to make their own choices. They established enhancement centers throughout the galaxy where any being could volunteer for modifications that would elevate them beyond their original limitations. As enhanced beings spread through the galaxy, terraforming dead worlds and igniting new stars, the old order began to dissolve. The Council lost relevance as enhanced species developed new forms of cooperation that transcended traditional politics. The few remaining unmodified Council members watched their authority fade as enhanced beings created wonders they could not understand or control. Gardens bloomed in the vacuum of space. New forms of life emerged that existed as pure consciousness. Entire solar systems were converted into vast thinking machines that pondered questions beyond normal comprehension. The galaxy was being transformed by beings who had once been human, but had become something far greater. And in the deep void, beyond the galactic rim, even more advanced forms of life prepared for journeys to distant galaxies where the cycle of growth and evolution would continue. The Great Council chambers that had once been the center of galactic civilization now felt like a museum of dead ideas. Speaker Zeth Ka sat alone in the vast space where 43 species had once debated the future of the galaxy. Now only 12 species remained unchanged and unenhanced. The others had either accepted human modifications or faded into extinction. Dr. Ben Murphy appeared before the aging alien leader not as a single being, but as a collective consciousness that could take any form needed. Today, he chose to manifest as something recognizable to help Zeth Ka understand what humanity had become. "You look tired, old friend," Ben said with genuine sympathy in his voice. The enhanced human collective had transcended anger and revenge long ago. They felt only sadness for the species that chose decline over growth. Zeth Ka's scales had lost their shine and his movements were slow with the weight of centuries. "We made the wrong choice, didn't we? When we expelled your people, we thought we were protecting the galaxy from dangerous change. Instead, we doomed ourselves to slow death." Through the crystal windows of the chamber, they could see the transformed galaxy outside. Enhanced beings had turned dead space into gardens of light. New forms of life danced between the stars, existing as pure energy and consciousness. Planets that had been barren for billions of years now bloomed with impossible beauty. The choice is still yours, Ben offered, though both beings knew it was probably too late for most of the remaining unmodified species. We can still share the gift of enhancement with any who want to grow beyond their limitations. Zethka laughed, but it was a sound full of pain rather than humor. My people are too old and set in their ways. We have spent millions of years believing that change is dangerous. Even facing extinction, most of my species would rather die as they are than live as something different. The enhanced humans had learned patience during their time in the void beyond the galaxy. They did not judge the aliens for their choice, even though it was slowly killing their civilizations. Every species had the right to choose its own path, even if that path led to extinction. What about the young ones? Ben asked. Surely some of your people want to see what they could become. Zethka nodded slowly. A few, the ones you call the Seekers. They have been asking to join your enhancement programs. The older leaders try to stop them, but some escape to your centers anyway. The Seeker movement had started among young aliens who saw their species dying and wanted a different future. They studied human achievements and begged for the chance to transcend their biological limitations. Most were refused permission by their elders, but some found ways to reach human enhancement facilities anyway. They are becoming something wonderful, Ben said as he shared mental images of transformed aliens. Your young people who accept enhancement develop abilities their ancestors never dreamed of. They can think at quantum speeds, manipulate matter with their minds, and exist comfortably in any environment. Through the chamber's communication systems came reports from across the galaxy. Enhanced beings were solving problems that had plagued the galaxy for millions of years. Diseases that had killed countless aliens were eliminated with simple genetic modifications. Worlds that had been considered uninhabitable were transformed into paradise planets. Energy shortages that had limited growth for millennia were solved by tapping stellar power directly. But these advances came at a price that most unmodified aliens found unacceptable. The enhanced beings were no longer the same species they had started as. They had transcended their original biological forms to become something entirely new. Are they still our children? Zethka asked as he watched recordings of enhanced aliens, who moved through space without ships and communicated through direct consciousness transfer. They are what your children chose to become, Ben replied. We do not force change on anyone, but those who accept it discover possibilities they never knew existed. The mathematical reality was undeniable. The unenhanced species were dying out while the enhanced ones thrived and multiplied. In another 1,000 years, the galaxy would be populated entirely by enhanced beings, while the original species would exist only in historical records. Some alien leaders had tried to stop the enhancement process by force. They declared the enhanced beings to be no longer part of their species and tried to prevent young aliens from seeking modification. But the enhanced beings simply moved their activities beyond the reach of unmodified governments. We are becoming irrelevant? Zethka admitted with the honesty of someone who had nothing left to lose. The enhanced beings do not need our governments or our laws. They create their own societies based on principles we cannot understand. The old galactic order was dissolving not through conquest, but through voluntary choice. Enhanced beings formed communities that operated on levels of cooperation and understanding that transcended traditional politics. They shared resources, freely solved problems collectively, and explored possibilities that individual species could never achieve alone. The few remaining unmodified council members met less and less frequently. Their decisions affected fewer beings as enhanced populations grew and spread throughout the galaxy. The council chambers that had once been the center of galactic power now felt empty and forgotten. Ben offered one final gift to the dying alien civilizations. We can preserve you as you are. Enhanced beings can create perfect simulations where your species can continue unchanged forever. You would never have to face extinction or unwanted change. Some species accepted this offer, choosing to exist in carefully maintained virtual worlds where they could continue their traditional ways without interference. Others rejected even this compromise, preferring authentic extinction to artificial preservation. Zeth-Ka made his own choice in the end. As the last representative of his species, he accepted enhancement not to gain power, but to understand what his people had rejected. The transformation was difficult for his ancient biology, but the enhanced humans guided him through the process with gentle care. When it was complete, Zeth-Ka existed as something beyond his original species, but he retained memory and love for what he had been. He became a bridge between the old galaxy and the new, helping other aliens understand what they could become if they chose to embrace change. The galaxy belonged to the enhanced, now human and alien alike, working together to create wonders that the old order could never have imagined. And in dimensions beyond normal space, even more advanced beings prepared for journeys to distant galaxies, where the cycle of growth and evolution would begin again with new species and new possibilities.